Okay. So now you go to high school,
Yeah.
and it's
to
time
Washington
to
High
pick
School.
a college, right?
Well, first you go to college and then you go to law
So
school.
where do you go to college?
NYU, Washington Square, because they had a campus up in the Bronx as well, but the primary campus was Washington Square.
Right, as is today. And you commuted from the Heights.
Yeah.
You got on the subways.
Yeah, that's the way everybody travels, subways. You didn't worry about getting mugged or anything then. It was a different world. Trains weren't even spray painted.
Wearing graffiti.
Yeah.
Okay. How many years did it take you to do your degree in NYU?
I didn't get a degree at NYU because you were able to get into law school with what was called a law student qualifying certificate, which means if you had 2 years of college. So I wanted to get through faster. So at the end of 2 years, I got a law student qualifying certificate and went to Brooklyn Law School.
Right.
And when I went to Brooklyn Law School, I wanted to get through faster. So I started off with the summer session and went a year, another summer session, a year, another summer session. I graduated at the end of that summer session.
So basically 2 years.
A little over 2 years.
2 years of college, 2 years of college, 2 years of law school. You were
Plus.
ready. So by 22, you're a lawyer.
No. I graduated Brooklyn Law School when I was 20. And I couldn't take the bar exam because you had to be 21 to take the bar exam.
So you graduated 20.
Yeah, and my father, so we had to make an application to
As an
the
exception.
Court of Appeals to get an exception to take the exam before you were 21. And because I graduated in October, and I would have been 21 in December. I graduated in out of the summer session, which let's say was September or thereabouts, or October. And I wanted to take the October bar. So, because right after school, you know
You're
the
fresh.
stuff better, right? But I wasn't 21. So we made an application. It's an interesting story because my father was a lawyer. He made the application, and we get a call from the court there. The application was granted or something, and then a couple of weeks later we found out it was denied. This is before the exam. So he got on a car or a bus or a train or something, went up to the court in Albany. They made the case that, hey, you guys granted, and they changed their mind, and they said, yeah, you granted, but I couldn't become admitted until I was 21, if I passed the exam.
To the
So I
bar.
took the exam in
Took the
October,
exam.
I passed,
And another half
and
year.
in January I got admitted. So I was 21 in
Right,
December.
doesn't matter.
You used to get the results of the bar in the newspapers before you found out. The night before, the Herald Tribune used to publish,
The
they're
list
not
of
published anymore, used to publish who passed. So we knew that the Herald Tribune, the Times did also, but the Herald Tribune had what's called an early bird edition, which came out like 8 o'clock. So you'd be down there, you wait to get it, and you see a name on there, and you get all excited, you know, and you pass. And then, then admission was scheduled for February, March, or April or something. No, admission for the procedure for admission was scheduled then. And I wanted to get admitted
Sooner.
because maybe I was going to go into Judge Advocate General's office because I didn't want to get drafted. So I wanted to volunteer to get into JAG. So I had to be admitted for that. So we made an application to get admitted earlier based on that. My application was granted, and you had to be interviewed by a member of the character committee. We're now in just 21.
21, you were born in
29,
29.
It's 50.
It's 50.
Right, I'm a graduate, so okay. So I'm admitted now, and I'm not admitted yet, but I gotta go to the character committee, get an interview. So I get an appointment with a lawyer who's on the character committee, and I go to his office, and he comes in, he's got the file, he says, you're Asher Fenton? I mean, all right, everything was fine. And that was it, the whole 3 minutes was the whole interview. But then I had to go to the court to get sworn in. So I get a notice coming in the appellate division on Madison Avenue in Manhattan, such and such date, And we called at the beginning of the calendar, so I go sit, and they tell me to go sit in the courtroom. I'm sitting in the courtroom, and I'm waiting to get called, and all of a sudden they call the first case. The lawyers get up and they start arguing the case, and I'm still sitting there, and I was supposed. So then the clerk of the court comes out, and he sees me sitting there. So I go like, I try, what? He says, come over here, like this. So they were arguing the case at the podium.
He brings over to the
all the way in the corner.
judge.
No, in the corner. You don't need the judge. All the way in the corner of the courtroom, while they're arguing in the middle, he says, raise your hand. Okay, you sworn in now. Go downstairs, get your papers down. I'm swearing. That was great. That was great. So then I was admitted. And then I didn't go with the judge, advocate general, and I don't know how the war passed me by or something.
Uh-huh.
So I never went in.
When was Alvin? When did he go in?
Well, he was in when we got married. He wasn't at the wedding.
Mid-50s.
He was in Korea.
He was in Korea then. He wasn't at the wedding.
Oh, he wasn't at your wedding because he was in
Korea.
Korea.
Yeah.
So that's it. So you.
Then I'm a lawyer. Then I went to work for well, I had gone in with my father way before I was bar mitzvah. I used to go with him on Sundays, and I used to help file away the paperwork. They used to have during the war, during the World War II, the 40s, they had special regulations on everything. They had regulations on price control and wage control and whatnot. So in order for the lawyers to keep up on that, there were separate books for that with loose leaf pages. But they changed the regulations so fast, and the rulings comes over that they used to send in substitute pages all
Right,
the
so you had
time.
to take out the old.
So I take out the old and put it in. That was my job. So
Right.
that's what I did.
And that office was where?
51 Chambers Street, in New Manhattan.
Lower,
Lower
that-
Manhattan.
Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, right by City Hall.
Right by the city hall, right?
Yeah. And I remember going in on Sundays. It was dark, putting the lights on, because the lights were off on the weekend.
Right.
No air conditioning. Nobody had air conditioning at that time. You used to be lucky if you had a fan. It came 2 o'clock. If it was too hot, you had to let everybody go home. It was so hot. Now everything's air conditioned.
So, so you're working with your father. You get admitted to the bar.
And I was working with my father
You went to the
before.
judge advocate's office. Was that a full-time
I never
job?
went into
You never went
judge
in
advocate.
there.
Judge advocate was the Army.
Right,
Personally thought to go in the Army if you didn't have to.
right. So you went to work with your father,
Yeah,
and that was on Chambers Street.
right.
And that's when you met because of the same building.
Yeah, because she worked for
For the
Louis J.
septic.
Septic.
the Louis J. Septis
And
company
the
in the
accountants
same building.
were
The
in the
accountant
same-
in our office was Spilky, Kaplan, and Schmel, Leon Spilky. And Izzy Schmel, he lived here for a while, he passed away recently. And Sam Kaplan's still alive, I think, right? Simon Kaplan, yeah.
That's how you met Mommy because she
Yeah,
was
she was in the
working
same building.
in the same
They
building.
used to, when you have
and-
accountants and they run out of forms, they would run to the other accountant, hey, you got
Right.
such forms, so
Uh-huh.
she used to come up with one form at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool. So
That's up to then.
that's up till then. You continue on Chambers Street. When do you move up to Broadway?
Well, one of the main clients was Rosenthal and Rosenthal, and their office was in Midtown. So we moved our offices up to be closer to them, and we were in the same building. Actually, they had an office building where they occupied 1 or 2 floors, and we took an office in that building.
Right.
That was at 1451 Broadway, I think it was.
Well, we used to go and watch the parade.
We
up
used to
there.
That's
watch the
right,
parade,
Thanksgiving
because
Day.
they were on the second floor. Well, they were on the second floor. I think I was upstairs. And then eventually we went out of practice. We went in full time as their house counsel,
Mm-hmm.
both my father and me,
Uh-huh.
with their legal department.
So you had your own firm, Fensterheim,
Yeah, when I worked
before
with my
you
father.
joined Rosenthal.
Right,
And then you joined Rosenthal.
right. My father and I both. Well, I did
And you were in-
most of the work. He was
In-house counsel for Rosenthal.
Right.
And how long was that?
Many years, and then I went with Watson and Garfinkel. They had a client that borrowed a lot of real estate financing money from them. They did.
Rosenthal, what did they do? They
were factors who did primarily accounts receivable lending. factoring also, which means where they buy the account as opposed to lending on the account and all that. But they also did real estate, second mortgages and other on commercial properties. And they had a client by the name of Howard Garfinkel, and we did a lot of deals with him. And I used to handle the deals, and then he needed a lawyer, and he made me an offer that was
Hard to
twice what I was earning and stuff like that. And that's when I used to work in New York, and then I went down to Florida with him.
We used to commute,
You
you
know,
and I.
then,
Remember that?
Right,
And you-
but before Florida,
yeah, I worked for Rosenthal.
well, then we moved back to Manhattan after Florida. When we were on the east side on 52nd Street.
Second Street, yeah, that was an apartment.
That was after we came back from Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, maybe.
Right. Okay, anyhow, so
We lived on Pine Tree Drive.
when Ricky was born,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you were still Fensterheim.
Yeah.
You were still working with your dad,
Yeah.
independent.
Ricky was born in Beth Israel. Oh no, across the street from Beth Israel in
Women's Hospital.
Women's Hospital. Yeah.
Right. And you were living where then? I didn't even ask you where you were
Washington
living.
Heights. Alvin
No,
was
we
living
were
on.
living-
No.
We were living in Washington Heights because Alvin was living on Haven Avenue, and then
We
we
lived
went
on
to.
2329 Tibet Avenue.
Why did I go to Tashlich? Where did I go to Slichus with Alvin that night when we came back and we took?
That's right, because we were visiting them Saturday night.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were waiting for you downstairs. Your mother.
They were both ready to give birth almost the same time.
Bobby is
And
about.
we took Rose to the hospital, and you were there with her. Who went first? You did,
I
or
did. And then Rose.
we took you to the hospital?
And then 23 hours later, Bobby was born.
Yeah, Ricky's older than Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Slichus night.
Uh-huh.
I spent Rosh Hashanah davening at the Minyan at Beth Israel Hospital,
Uh-huh. So you need to be, but Tibet Avenue is where? It's Brooklyn.
23 in Bronx.
The Bronx.
2395 T-Bat. I just closed deals with a client of mine bought apartment buildings on T-Bat Avenue, a block or two away from where we
That's
lived.
the South Bronx?
No, that's
No.
near Fordham Road.
Fordham
Fordham
Road.
Road. And when did you, okay, so Lisa was born while you were still in Tibet or when you were Far Rockaway?
Far Rockaway.
You moved to Far Rockaway?
Because we went to, she was born on
Greenport
Shabbos.
Road.
I remember I had to drive Irima to the hospital on
Greenport
Shabbos.
Road.
You're in Greenport Road.
Right.
So where are your parents during all this?
They lived in Manhattan.
Lincoln Square, Lincoln Towers.
Right, okay, so let's go back to that story. So you tell me the story about your father in Lincoln Towers, Rabbi Riskin.
Yeah, I remember when we visited, I think it was a visit on Shabbos, and we went to daven in Lincoln Square Synagogue, didn't have their own building. They davened in an apartment on the main floor of
The
one of the
ground
big,
floor of
ground floor,
one
one
of
of
the
the big,
towers.
right. The machitza were a bunch of potted plants that they lined up
Uh-huh.
there, so remember that. They still, Riskin would remember. I don't know if Riskin was there then or he got hired shortly thereafter, but that's how we got to Riskin.
And what was the story with the debate of the shul? What type of character?
I was not part of that, but I know there was a question whether conservative or.
This was already, you were out on your own, your father was on the west side?
Yeah,
when this
we didn't
happened?
live in Lincoln Towers. Yeah,
No.
he lived there. We came to visit. Yeah.
Right, so he was involved with
In Lincoln Square.
Lincoln Square, getting this Kehillah going.
Right.
And what was his involvement with did he have any involvement with finding Rabbi Riskin? Or was he
I don't know. I seem to remember that he either pushed him or interviewed him or was part of it, but he was. The stories I used to hear was that he was part of seeing that Riskin
Uh-huh.
came in.
And he was one of the part of the Kehillah that was pushing for
Riskin.
more orthodox
right? Yeah.
character of the shul.
Sure, right. Because there was a conservative element, I think, at that time.
Right.
But I remember davening in that apartment.